Sure. What's the future for you?
We're figuring that out, man. It's
Are
only
you
been about a week.
maybe vice president or?
I'm open to whatever allows me to have the biggest impact on the country.
Well,
That's what
Trump
I'm in
need to
this
be
for.
vice president. Well, Trump almost got his other vice president hung on January 6th.
Trump, I would say that
They was in front of
I would
They
hope
was
that
hang Mike Pence.
I think that this goes to a deeper point, though. People selection matters. If you're building a company, so I come from the world of building companies, the people you pick make all the difference. And so I think this was one of the learnings. I don't want to speak for, but I believe he would tell you the same thing if he were here, is if you put the likes of John Bolton or Nikki Haley or Mike Pence in your administration, but you have the right America First vision, but then your administration is staffed by people who are hostile to your actual vision.
Exactly.
But will stare you in your face and tell you, yes, sir, Mr. President, and say whatever it is that make you feel good, but actually go stab your back through the back door. I mean, Nikki Haley, for God's sake, was in Donald Trump's administration.
Yep.
Right? I think that hopefully is one of the great learnings of that first term. You know, for me, I'm going to look myself in the mirror and ask myself, what are my unique God-given skills? Every one of us has our own God-given gifts. How am I going to use those to do what's right for the country? I did that a year and a half ago, and I came to the conclusion it was to run for president. But the beauty of this country is that that choice doesn't belong to me. It belongs to the people of this country, and they spoke loud and clear. They're speaking loud and clear right now about who they want that to be. It's a man who shares 99% of my vision for this country in common and who's done it before, and so that's why I'm behind him. I'm going to do everything in my power this year to get him elected. But I'm not one of these people who believes that the only way to drive change in this country is through government. I think a lot of it comes through culture. A lot of it comes through
I'd say
changes
majority
in
of
the
it comes
economy.
through culture.
I think much more so than through politics. Now, I think the president uniquely, and you could make an argument for maybe the vice president, but the president particularly drives a lot more of a change in the tone and the pride of a country than a senator or a congressman. There, it's all just policy. But at the level of a president, you do have the merger of cultural character of a country with policy. And so that's why I think it's one of the most important. It's the most important position to change this country from the top. But for me, in terms of what comes next, I'm keeping a totally open mind. I'm sure I'll have an open conversation with a lot of people, including my wife, and understand what works best for our family, but also works best for this country, and we'll figure out what comes from there.
Yeah, I don't want to push the race thing, but I think it's very important that the Republican Party becomes a lot more diverse. Like, I know we shouldn't focus on things like that, but it's really
It's going to happen naturally is what I believe.
I hope so. Because,
I think it's going to happen naturally. I think it is happening naturally.
Yeah.
I think it's happening naturally largely because a lot of people are realizing they've been duped. I mean, when I went to the south side of Chicago earlier in this campaign, everybody said it's a waste of time to go there, and maybe it was. Maybe that's why I got fourth. but I went there, went to Kensington, went to a lot of different places. What you realize is actually, and in particular, it was, I would say I got a lot of support. I don't know if it showed up in the polls or not. I got a lot of support from black men by the end of the campaign. I think that just people who feel like they've been lied to, because they have been lied to. I think all of us have been lied to, but I think a lot of black men in particular have been put in a box. And no human being wants to be put in a box, but especially black men, I think, have been put in a big box.
Yeah,
and you start speaking the truth about some hard subjects. I mean, it's not even subjects that like necessarily would be in a demographic survey what appeals to black men. But when I started speaking hard truths about Ukraine, about the truth of what really I believe happened on January 6th and what we haven't been told, the hard truths about the things we've been lied to systematically about the Hunter Biden laptop, big tech censorship, origin of COVID, about the vaccine mandates. I think we've actually seen a lot of people come out of the woodwork. You talk about some of my pro-family policies. A lot of Hispanics love that. They really love that stuff. And I don't care if they're Democrat, but you're actually paying single mothers more money not to have a man in the house than to have a man in the house, and you have a breakdown of the nuclear family. I think that speaks to immigrants of many different stripes, and I think a lot of black Americans too.
It hurts them the most.
So I think it's going to happen naturally, but the thing that's stopping it from happening is you have to have a coherent message, right? So if a party doesn't have a message, and I think the Republican Party basically today doesn't, and I've done my part to try to change that, Biden bad is not an agenda, right? What do we stand for? Then people can say, okay, I believe in that or not. And the ideals that I think we should stand for, the ideals of 1776, the ideals in our Constitution, merit, free speech, open debate, the rule of law, the importance of family. I think these go far beyond black or white boundaries, that you're going to see natural diversity. The floodgates are going to open in the Republican Party. But when you don't have an ideology, right, and it's just a party, then it becomes what it looks like. So you have a bunch of people in suits, Paul Ryan or Mitt Romney or whoever, and they all look the same. Then yes, naturally that doesn't draw a lot of minorities in. But I think the right answer to that is not to bring more suits that look like Paul Ryan or Mitt Romney, but they have a different shade of melanin and a different gender. I don't think that actually solves the problem. It's not authentic. Versus saying that old vision of the Republican Party that wasn't really based on a real ideology anyway, that's not attracting minorities, because then it's just like, okay, well, a bunch of people look like that. They don't make any sense to me. It's the total package.
Yeah. Right.
Versus, no. They're saying things that compel me and speak to my heart and speak to the same value set by which I live my life and raise my family. Boom, automatically, I think you're going to have a far more visually, but also even in a deeper sense, diverse, in a good way, Republican Party that is representative of where I think most of the country actually is. Yeah, that's how I think it goes.
Yeah, I just think Democrats exploit our differences so much. And Republicans haven't figured it out. Yeah, it's like when Obama became president, it was Hillary Clinton was supposed to be president.
Yep.
But the Democrat voter recognized something in him, and they embraced it.
Yep.
I think you could have been, how should I say this? You could have been I'm not saying let me say this. I think you could have been the Barack Obama for the Republican Party. Not saying you're anything like him, but that could have helped the Republican Party so much as far as diversity-wise, because you're the Democrats.
I'm not going anywhere.
kryptonite.
Don't worry, man. I'm not going anywhere. We're just getting started.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
So I appreciate that. I take that as encouragement, actually.
Yeah, it's like
in a good way.
I see you as like the kryptonite for Democrats. You know what I mean? You could have been the weapon that destroyed all that nonsense about race, because we're Uncle Tom's because we're Republican. Democrats have explored our differences so much. That's the common culture and belief in minorities across the country.
Yeah.
And I think that spills over into the Republican Party, and maybe that's why they're a little bit tougher on you. Fuck it.
Yeah.
But I think that's why
there's some
it's
truth
so
to what you're
important.
saying. But I think it's why it's important, too.
Yeah.
I'm not going anywhere.
It's very important if we take that, not just give somebody a position because they're brown or they're not white. I mean, you got to earn it. Somebody like you who has all the qualifications, you're a billionaire, you're a successful business person, you're very articulate. Nothing you said was apprehensive or that scared me. And the Republican Party did not flock to you. They didn't support you. I was very disappointed because every person of color I talked to loved you. Well, they would say, well, he has no experience. I'm like,
Trump didn't have experience.
Trump doesn't have any
I
experience.
think the lack of
billionaire as well.
experience is a good thing at this stage in
Exactly.
politics. As long as you bring competence,
Yeah.
you're not tainted by that whole system.
You have the competence. You have a $1 billion pharmaceutical company. You started that from scratch.
Yeah.
You supervised it. You started from scratch. Not everybody can do that.
Yeah.